Allora, innanzitutto buongiorno a tutti e benvenuti al secondo webinar di quest'anno di Biogenetics Diagnostics. Io sono Lorenzo e per chi non mi conosce sono il Technical Sales Manager di Biogenetics. Faccio una brevissima introduzione. Biogenetics è un'azienda, per chi non ci conosce sempre, che si occupa di distribuzione di prodotti legati al mondo della microbiologia classica e non. All'interno del nostro catalogo abbiamo tutta una serie di prodotti per i laboratori che vanno dai terreni di coltura a tutti i materiali che servono per il campionamento ambientale o direttamente dei prodotti, alla preparazione dei campioni e anche di microrganismi standard. Oggi parliamo proprio di questo insieme a Microbiologics, che è il nostro produttore per quanto riguarda i microrganismi e i nostri sistemi di riferimento. Faccio una brevissima premessa. Questo webinar, almeno dalla mia parte, non ha la presunzione di insegnare nulla a nessuno, anzi si tratta solo di una cosa introduttiva. Poi di tutta la parte tecnica se ne occuperà il nostro referente di Microbiologics. Io rimango comunque a disposizione per qualsiasi domanda, anche dopo che il webinar sarà completato. Ok. Allora, partirei subito dalla domanda perché questo webinar. Ho anticipato prima che questo è il secondo webinar di quest'anno che facciamo sui microrganismi standard, mentre il primo era legato al mondo della farmaceutica ed era stato pensato per l'aggiornamento dell'Annex 1, quindi un sistema di riferimento sostanzialmente di come gestire il lavoro dei laboratori farmaceutici. Questo qui è un webinar che nasce più che altro dalle vostre domande, perché mi è capitato molto spesso negli ultimi 2 anni di sentire dubbi, richieste, perplessità in merito alla conservazione di microrganismi con le metodiche classiche delle cepoteche. Per cui ho raccolto un po' di domande che sono arrivate proprio da voi e abbiamo pensato di creare un webinar proprio con il nostro produttore. Eh, Come potete vedere, alcune le ho chiuse qui in questa immagine. Diciamo che alcune sono veramente molto importanti, come per esempio la perdita delle caratteristiche morfologiche delle colonie dopo multiple istanze di congelamento, per cui secondo me c'era una buona possibilità di dare delle risposte concrete facendo una cosa un po' più strutturata. L'obiettivo del webinar sarà porre l'attenzione sul trattamento, appunto, dei materiali di riferimento, citare alcune normative vigenti che hanno a che vedere con questo tipo di conservazione dei microrganismi e soprattutto suggerire prodotti e soluzioni che coprano le esigenze di utilizzo, anche rispondendo appunto ai dubbi e alle necessità che sono sorte in questo periodo. Il contenuto del webinar molto rapidamente, ci sarà un focus generale all'inizio dove si fa un'infarinatura sui metodi e sui processi normalmente impiegati nel controllo qualità, chiaramente sempre per evitare i richiami sul prodotto finito. Poi citeremo anche le tipologie di microrganismo da ricercare durante l'attività del controllo qualità. Nella seconda parte affrontiamo la parte, diciamo, regolatoria, dove verranno citate normative di riferimento nello specifico e riprendiamo i punti relativi al trasporto e alla conservazione di cui avevamo introdotto nel focus generale, mentre nella parte finale parliamo espressamente dei rischi legati a questa pratica di conservazione e daremo magari delle risposte a problemi reali che si sono presentati nella vita di laboratorio di tutti i giorni. Io ho terminato. Colgo l'occasione per ricordarvi che se avete delle domande o delle necessità potete scriverlo all'interno del box domande, altrimenti se siete timidi potete sempre richiederle ai vostri commerciali di riferimento o alle mail che trovate sul nostro sito se non avete i nostri riferimenti. Io ho terminato. Vi introduco però il nostro referente tecnico per Microbiologics, Brice. Brice ha il ruolo di Technical Support Specialist e si dedicherà appunto alla parte tecnica del webinar. Per cui io vi ringrazio per l'attenzione e passo a lui la parola. So, Brice, it's always nice to have you here. Thank you to be with us also today. I made a quick introduction to the webinar and what you're going to tell us. So without further ado, I leave you the floor and you can start with your presentation.
Thank you, Lorenzo. Thank you for the introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. So I'm very happy to join you today, this afternoon, for this webinar dedicated to the risk of freezing the strain. So I will just share my screen. Yeah, to start. Yeah. So we will see why it's important to perform a quality control. Then we will review the main regulations and some definitions. And at the end, we will share some risk and best practice. So first, what is so important to do quality control? So for all microbial lab, so the purpose is to ensure that all the methods of detecting pathogens and spoilage microorganisms are accurate. Also for food industries to be sure that the process of cleaning foods is satisfactory. Very important to validate method for detection of spores and of course to prevent any recalls from occurring. What are you looking for when we say microorganism? Is so that you are looking for indicator microorganisms such as coliforms to detect the cleanliness of facility, but also other pathogens such as Salmonella and Listeria may cause disease. Spoilage microorganisms such as spore producers, for example, Clostridium botulinum, and molds such as Aspergillus and Penicillium. Why it's so important to perform QC? So we will see that it's first to ensure that the lab can detect, identify, and enumerate harmful bacteria in the samples. To provide proof, a laboratory is able to consistently and accurately perform tests. Of course, to think about the consumers, to minimize the risk for the consumers, and also for you to guarantee the brand security. Let's continue now with the main regulations and some definitions. So worldwide, depending if you're exporting, but we can refer to the FDA, the USDA guideline, the ISO, especially the ISO 11133 and the ISO 17025. Locally, we can refer also to some guidance from the Departments of Health, Ministries of Health and Sanitation, and the local food standards agencies. Let's go further now with the ISO 11133, which is the macrobiological of food, animal feed, and water, preparation, production, storage, and performance testing of culture media. The last revision of this regulation was in 2014, and there were 2 amendments in 2018 and 2020. This standard specifies the requirements for the preparation of culture media intended for the microbiological analysis for the food, animal feed, samples from the food or feed production environment, but also all kinds of water intended for consumption or food production. If we look at the chapter 6.1 and 6.4, it's clearly written that before use, the performance of each batch of culture medium should be tested according to the media categories. Indeed, the transport can affect product performances, so you have to include each new shipment. This is applicable to all the media powder, the media for pour plate technique, but also the ready-to-use media. Let's continue now with the ISO 17025 for testing laboratories. In the section 652, it's written that the laboratory shall ensure that measurement results are traceable to the International System of Unit, SI, through certified values of certified reference materials provided by a competent producer with stated metrological traceability to the SI, to the system units. These values can be qualitative or quantitative. Per the ISO 17034, we can find the definition of the CRM, the Certified Reference Material. They are all the reference material characterized by a metrologically valid procedure for one or more specified properties, accompanied by a reference material certificate that provide the value of the specified property, its associated uncertainty, and a statement of metrological traceability. We can say that the certified reference material differs from reference material in each property value, which has an uncertainty assigned to it. For the CRM, the material comes with a certificate providing traceability and uncertainty. And for the CRM, you have a value assigned to it that is traceable. You can use CRM, Certified Reference Material, for measurement for the calibration of equipment, for example, or measurement procedure. When you want to establish metrological traceability for any method validation, when you want to assign values to other materials, quality control of a measurement or measurement procedure, and also to maintain convention scales. How to handle this certified reference material? First, you have to follow the manufacturer's instructions for use and storage instructions. They are factored into the uncertainty and certified values. You should respect the expiration date of the product. Check if the certified reference material is multiple use. If so, you can ensure that containers are completely sealed. If not, one subculture, the control, is no longer CRM. Be wary of subsampling. It must be done in a way to ensure it reflects the properties of the CRM. And check also are you using the right type of CRM for the measurement. Qualitative is more for identity and cannot be used for measuring quantitative values. Let's continue with the definition of the reference trend. So from the WHO, World Health Organization, a reference trend is a microorganism defined at least to the genus and species level, cataloged and described according to its characteristics, and preferably stating its origin. These microorganisms are normally obtained from recognized national or international collections, for example, the ATCC, the American Type Culture Collection, which is the most popular. So when we think about reference strains, we can also use reference cultures, standard cultures, quality control strains. They come from a reliable source, for example, like I say, ATCC, the American Type Culture Collection, but there are many, many other collections available. And this reference strain can be sourced from commercial control providers in qualitative or quantitative format, depending the use, the application. And this provider must be ISO 17034 accredited. In the ISO, we can find also the traceability definition. So the traceability, the ability to trace the history, application, use, and location of an item or its characteristic through recorded identification data. And what is also very important for the strain, the quality control strains, the reference strain, this is the passage. I know there are a lot of confusion sometimes how to interpret what is a passage, a transfer. And this is why here you can see a technical document from ATCC. So the title is Reference Strains, How Many Passages Are Too Many? It's a very interesting document where you can find the definition of a passage. So a passage is defined as a subculture involving growth of the viable microorganism with fresh medium. And this is a passage which involves actively transferring microorganisms from one medium to another medium, culture medium, for the purpose of propagation or maintenance. And I think it's important to say that thawing or rehydrating a reference culture is not recorded as a passage. So it's in the technical bulletin. ATCC recommends no more than 5 transfers or passages from the ATCC culture, because we know that repeated passage or serial culture increases the risk of contamination and also mutation that can result in undesirable genotype or phenotype changes. This recommendation of 5 passages or less from the ATCC reference culture has been broadly accepted in the healthcare community and the pharmaceutical and biopharmaceutical industries. Let's continue now with the risk and the best practice. How do you maintain and prove the traceability of your reference strains? So if you have your own in-house cultures, in this case, the paperwork must document all the tests performed from time of receipt from ATCC and throughout all passages. And in this case, you must not lose all these documents. If you use ready-to-use culture, in this case, all the products are provided with a certificate of analysis, which is the documentation for all identification tests and other tests performed for the strains, from the time it was received from ATCC to the time it was released for resale. We can say that incoming inspection activities will continue to document traceability in your lab. What are the risks of using in-house strains and the risk of freezing these reference strains? We know that freezing and thawing can create several problems. First of all, this is very time-consuming, but also there is a high risk of contamination. Maybe it will lead to reduce the recovery of the QC strain, and in the worst case, to loss genetic material or expression of the genetic material. Let's start with the time consumption. We know that if you have to prepare your stock in the glycerol stock, it requires many steps, as you can see on the right of the slide. So subculturing, transferring, and aliquoting the suspension into cryovials. We know that a highly viscous solution that does not pipette well, such as glycerol, may require additional time, and that using commercially prepared cryovials or beds may be limited in the number of bacterial cells that you can add, or will experience numerous freeze-thaw cycles, which is also detrimental. Regarding the using stock parts, it can take several minutes to obtain a fully thawed suspension for thorough mix, as any remaining frozen stock could have bacterial cells that clump together when freezing. You may need to go back to the frozen stock to regrow or retest if failures occur. A multi-step process may become prone to errors. Also, for the there is a high risk of contamination, because contamination may occur at every step during preparation. Especially if you use a liquid culture, you have no way to visually confirm the absence of the contamination. Each time you will enter a frozen culture, you may introduce contaminants. As usage increases, it can become harder to identify where and when a contaminant could have entered the cryovial. If a contamination is found, a second attempt from the same cryovial may be attempted, or that cryovial may be discarded and a new cryovial will be used. Another impact could be to reduce the recovery. We know that for cryopreservation methods, depending the recommendation, you can use the cells in log phase or in stationary phase. We know that cells in log phase may be more susceptible to repeat chilling due to ice formations. And using stationary phase growth could, if you have to wait maybe they will be no longer viable. Regarding the gram-positive and gram-negative, we know that the cell walls and the presence of peptidoglycan are beneficial for gram-positive and help prevent damage from physical shock. The gram-negative are more susceptible to dehydration and cell membrane damage. Also, multiple freeze-thaw cycles may affect recovery by allowing cells to expand and shrink quickly, resulting in ruptured cell membranes. The cells can become mechanically damaged by ice crystal, but also chemically damaged as salts and proteins become concentrated with each freeze-thaw cycles. Another bad impact consequence of freezing could be the loss of genetic material. We know that we have some studies showing that the effects of freezing E. coli may lead to 1% of rare alleles were lost. And we are speaking about E. coli. This is a stable RD species. So the result of this study will indicate that the problem to be widespread and significantly worse for fastidious species. We know that studies regarding how freezing affects culture are not commonly performed due to the length of the time required, often required multiple years, and the high cost to perform these studies to observe changes in the cultures. That's why at Microbiologics, we would like to make your life simple and to support you with our products, especially the Quick Stick and the LiFoDisc, because we have no ultra-low temperature freezer required, because for the product and the culture, you can store in the fridge between 2 and 8 degrees Celsius. And as you can see on the slide on your right, so fewer steps are required for the maintenance, means that you will have fewer chances for error, contamination, and mutation. As you probably know, our most popular product is Quick Stick. We say this is an all-in-one device because in the stick you will find the lyophilized pellet of the microorganism, but also the ampoule of the hydration fluid and the swab. So this is a qualitative product, and we have over 600 strains available, essentially ATCC strains, but we have also some NCTC strains and strains from CDC or from the FDA. All the Quick Stick are accredited reference material. They are produced under the ISO 17034. They have 3 passages or less for the reference culture. It means that it allows you to add 2 passages if you want to respect the 5 maximum passages from ATCC. As I say, this is a refrigerated storage, so it's very easy and economical. No need to have a freezer or space in the freezer. All the products are provided with a certificate of analysis for the full traceability from the source of ATCC, and all the certificates are available on our website online. And there are 2 packaging available, so Quick Stick 2-pack or Quick Stick 6-pack. And as you can see on the picture, now we change also the packaging. So we have now a paperboard packaging to be more eco-responsible. LiFoDisc, so this is also the microorganism, the quality control reference strains in lyophilized pellet format. And here you can find all in one glass vial. So for the population of specific QC strains, it's also a qualitative product, and we have over 600 strains available. All the pellets are accredited reference material under the ISO 17034 with 3 passages from the reference culture. This is also a refrigerated storage, which is easy and economical, and all the products of the LIFO disc are provided with the certificate of analysis for the traceability. Here it's an example of certificates. You can see that you can find a lot of information, of course, the name of the strain, for example, here E. coli, the catalog number, the lot number, the reference number of the strain, for example, here ATCC 8739, the number of passage from the reference, here, for example, 3. You have the expiration date and the release date. You can find also in the second part, in the performance part, the macroscopic features and microscopic features and the identification performed on the Malitov system for all the strains. So you can see that before releasing each product, we perform QC to be sure to release a high quality product. For your reference, I think it's very important also to understand that you can use and you can have 1 month of fresh culture with only one pellet from quick stick or for the quick stick. If you follow this maintenance protocol, maintenance plan, it's very easy. You have just first to resuscitate one pellet from the LIFO disc or from the quick stick on the first plate, which will be the monthly working stock culture pellet plates. From this, then here you will consider this is the same number of passage. So if the quick stick or LIFO disc has passage 3, this plate, the pellet plate, will be also passage 3, because here you just rehydrate the pellet, so it's not considered as a passage. And then from this pellet plate, you can prepare 4 different plates, one for each week of the month. So the week 1 for the weekly working culture 1, the week 2, the week 3, and the week 4. Here we have passage 4 for each of these plates. And for each day, for example, for day 2, you will subculture for the week 1 weekly working culture. For the day 3, you will also use the week 1, day 1 weekly working culture. And following this, you will be able to have a passage 5 for all the strains on each plate for day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, and so on until day 28. So you will respect the ATCC recommendation to not exceed 5 passages for the reference culture and avoid any risk of mutation or contamination. So if we want to summarize, we can say that for the why it's ready to use QC strains. First, for the storage, I think it's very convenient for you in the fridge between 2 and 8 degrees. So it's very easy and economical. No need to have a freezer. All the products, all the QC strains are accredited reference material and are conform to the ISO 17034. The products are provided with online certificate of analysis to ensure full traceability and transparency. For the product, they have 3 passages from the reference culture. It allows you to add 2 passages and also to avoid to have more than 5 passages according to the ATCC recommendation. And with this fewer maintenance step, as we saw with the maintenance protocol, you will reduce your risk of contamination, human error, and especially also for any kind of mutations. Thank you for your attention. And if you have any questions, I will be happy to answer.
Benissimo. Thank you again, Brice, for your time here with us. It's always a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
Quindi, allora io ho visto delle domande, quindi ne avrei una che è il modo migliore per mantenere i microrganismi standard. So, Brice, relating
Yeah.
to related to our strains conservation and regarding the format in which the strains are produced, what is the best way to store and to maintain the microorganisms? This is one question that was asked.
So just with our product, for the Microbiologics products.
Mhm.
So yeah, so if you use Microbiologics products such as QuickStick or LifoDisk, so the best way is to follow our maintenance protocol. It means that for, I would say, traditional microorganism, you can store the plate in the fridge until for 1 month, it's okay. If you have fastidious microorganism, of course, maybe you will have to subculture more frequently. And in this case, maybe you will have to subculture every week or every 5 days. I don't know, it depends the type of microorganism, of course.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Quindi io non vedo altre domande. Mi prendo un paio di minuti mentre se avete qualche domanda per comunicarvi che comunque nei prossimi giorni tutti i partecipanti al webinar riceveranno l'attestato di partecipazione, le slide tradotte in italiano e anche il catalogo aggiornato dei microrganismi standard di Microbiologics. Quindi avrete modo comunque di revisionare tutto il materiale che è stato presentato oggi e di fare domande se vi vengono nei prossimi giorni. So I think we can close the webinar here. Brice, thank you again, and thanks to Microbiologics to always support us with your technical specialties.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me, Lorenzo.
Thank you. Ringrazio di nuovo tutti per la partecipazione e vi saluto al prossimo webinar.